Industry leaders have welcomed the next generation GST reforms, saying that the simplification of the tax setup will help in ease of doing business. Take a listen.
I congratulate the government for this much timed, very well thought of and much needed financial stimulus that the government has given to the domestic industry. Turbulent times are going on and the American exports have been directly hit with the heavy tariffs, and in such situation the reduction of high GST slab rates will definitely boost domestic purchase, will boost domestic demand, and the companies will have a lot of options to push their products in the domestic market. A fairly good move to counter the international challenges, and I think the domestic industry will welcome it wholeheartedly.
Today's decision in the GST Council meeting actually is an important step towards GST reforms, which is bold and brave. The earlier 4 slabs of GST, 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%, has now been reduced to only 2 slabs of 5% and 18%. In fact, 175 consumer items, important consumer items, have witnessed a decline in GST rates from 18% to 5%. And in electronic items, important electronic items like TV and air conditioners and small, hybrid cars have witnessed a decline in GST rates from 28% to 18%.
The decision taken by the GST Council today is a historic step in the welfare of the general public. The sports goods and toys both have been brought to the category of 5%, which will benefit the public at large because both the items are used by the children, and the rate of 5% will definitely help the Indian families to spend more on these items, thus pushing up the demand for sports goods as well as toys.
ASSOCHAM has been working very closely with our government to suggest various reforms for ease of doing business. Thankfully, Prime Minister announced the GST 2.0, as we would call it, during his Independence Day speech, and hence the expectations are very high from the industry. One is, of course, the reduced 2-slab structure, which would simplify GST compliance and probably increase further inclusion of informal sector into the GST regime. At the same time, reduced taxes on most of the consumer goods would mean increased consumption, increased capacity utilizations by the industry, and hence probably increased investments in the times to come.
A very pleasant surprise and a wonderful gift by the Honorable Finance Minister to us. This particular slabs of 5% and 18% is a very welcoming thing. And if you can see, the 5% is mostly on the essential commodities, which is very, very welcoming and which really help the middle class to increase their purchasing capacity. Not only increasing the purchasing capacity, but also give room more for their savings. Similarly, health, education are the basic things where the government is also looked into. Insurance, they totally removed the tax. So health insurance, very welcoming thing. And come September 22nd, these reforms will be implemented. That is more of Diwali advancing towards Dasara.
WWEPC welcomes the government's decision to revise GST rates, reducing duty on garments valued below Rs 2,500 from 12% to 5%, bringing synthetic yarn to 5% and lowering GST on several essential items, including those related to daily needs, healthcare and agriculture. This forward-looking step will ease the burden on consumers, support farmers and patients, and give a strong boost to the textile and woolen sector by enhancing affordability, competitiveness and demand in both domestic and export markets.
GST Council met yesterday for taking a landmark decision of reducing the GST and reviewing the GST rates. First of all, I must congratulate the Finance Minister for taking this bold step, and which was only taken at the initiative of the Prime Minister's word, which he gave on the Independence Day speech from Bradford. This has not helped the small and medium exporters, MSMEs, and the general public for giving them relief for day-to-day things, but has also rationalized the GST things and made it very, very simple for a common man to know exactly how much he is spending and what is a product worth.
So a positive response from most of the stakeholders there on the GST reform. Mr. Jory, coming back to you and before concluding this special segment. Now, before this GST reform announcement, a recent research report of SBI suggested that the proposed GST 2.0 reforms could stimulate consumption, ease inflationary pressures and even generate additional revenue for the government, despite an initial loss of tax collections. Now that we have all the facts in hand and figures in hand, what are your views on what the SBI report suggested on expected GST reforms?
So there are estimates about what kind of a fillip it will give to GDP. And they range from about 70, 80 basis points to 120 basis points. That's one. So I think everybody acknowledges that there will be, because of the forward linkages and because of the boost it will give to consumption, the rate cut will definitely have a positive impact on GDP growth. That's one. The fact that rates have been the cuts have been so deep in many sectors, and the entire sectors have been touched, for this rate reform will cool down prices. As it is, inflation levels are currently low in the country, and that will get a further boost because of these rate cuts. So I think these are the two things which give a fair amount of confidence that the revenue implication, or even if you were to call it revenue loss, calculated in a linear way today, will definitely be made good in due course. So I think any apprehensions that this may affect the fisc in a negative way because revenue collections will be impacted, I don't think will bear out. In fact, if you study, Deepika, the previous rounds of rate cuts also, there's evidence to show that they did not really have a very significant impact on revenue growth. There were other factors in the economy that may have contributed to, a slowing down of revenue growth at that time, but they're not attributable to rate cuts. So I think all in all, if you take all this evidence into account, the impact is definitely going to be positive, and we just heard a whole lot of industry representatives confirming the same.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Vivek Johari, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on latest GST reforms. Thank you.